Hey guys, it's Gerson, and I just have a really quick podcast today. I am not even going to plug in a microphone. I'm literally just doing this off my laptop as a precursor to today's call. I actually did a podcast the other day with someone. I love going on other people's podcasts, even if they don't have much of an audience yet or it's a smaller show. Just because when I was starting out and I would ask people, I was just always so gracious when someone said yes to me. So I say yes to everyone. And I think this is a good one because we talk about high school and the differences between officiating for school events as opposed to USSF club events and events of all different levels. So it's an interesting podcast. We don't go a lot into my background or how I got started. I know we've covered that ad nauseum on this podcast, so I don't want to do that. But I thought it was worth sharing with you guys. Before I did that, just real quick, I did my first 4 games of the year this Sunday. So I was on the pitch from about 7:15 a.m. I like being there early. My first kickoff was 8 a.m. We started with 2 17 ECNL matches. I was the AR for the first one and then the center referee for the second one. And ECNL for one of the teams in particular here in Atlanta, we have a number of great teams. This is a girls team. For Concord, they are often national champions. I don't know what they do at Concord, whether it's how they recruit, their training, their coaches, their facilities, their style of play, but these women are fantastic. And this was a great introduction back into officiating for the fall season. It was just challenging enough that I was challenged, which is good. I love being challenged out there, but it wasn't so physically demanding that I couldn't keep up with it. It was real hot. It was 90 degrees, blue skies, and it was exhausting out there. It was an 80-minute match for those first 2 matches. And it definitely, at the end of that, man, I was pretty worn out. But at the end of that match, which again, pretty non-eventful, I don't even think I had a yellow card in that match. It was maybe 20 fouls, maybe. Only one that could have possibly been yellow card. It was not that high intensity for a preseason tournament. But as soon as I finished that match, I dropped my stuff down, looked at my watch, and I had 2 more matches that day. I knew it. I thought I would have a break. I had 2 U12 matches where I was the referee for both of them, the center. And I was like, hopefully I'll have a break. Dude, no break. By the time I put my stuff down in my wagon and dragged it all the way across the complex to the other fields, they were already checking the kids in and we had to get kicked off. And I have to say, there needs to be some rules regarding how we assign referees for matches and how much heat they should be able to take in a day and how many matches they should do in a day. U.S. Soccer has guidelines for players when the heat is over a certain level as to how many minutes they can play and how often they have to have water breaks, and it's just 1 game a day. There's nothing like that for referees. And I was working with some referees who had 5 games in a day. Now, mind you, they weren't the center referee for all these games, and maybe it's U12. And if you're the AR, you're not doing so much running, but still you're standing there in that heat. That is not good for you. I don't care how much sunscreen you put on. It is not good for you. And I just worry that we're going to get a report someday that some referee suffered heat stroke and died, especially on turf. Thankfully, I was on grass. This past weekend, there was the same tournament. They had fields all over Atlanta, and they had games on turf. This weekend coming up, it is going to be 98 degrees, okay? Not the old boy band, but the actual Fahrenheit temperature on turf. And they have released some updated rules for the games. I think the lowest level, like the U9, U10 is going to be like 10-minute quarters and only a 40-minute game. And then 11s, 12s, it's going to be like, 12.5-minute quarters and something like that. And then the oldest age group, I think, is only going to be like 15-minute quarters, if you will. So they're going to do 4 15-minute quarters with a 5-minute break in between. And I'm just like, but those people are still breathing in that 140-degree air. That's right. If it's 100 degrees air temperature, that turf is at 140 and you're feeling it through your feet and you're feeling it on your skin and you're breathing that air in. It is not good for you. I honestly think we are going to have a reckoning for these extreme heat environments, not just for the players, but also for the referees too. As seasons start earlier and earlier, and all these clubs want to earn that tournament money because it's 30% of their operating budget, they are being so greedy. They are scheduling games in the middle of the heat of the day. And again, they've got referees working from the crack of dawn all the way through the evening. Someone is going to die. And I hate putting that out there, but I'm telling you, it is going to happen. And I'm very concerned for people. I just want to say that. I had fun. I got to tell you, U17 game was great. Those U12 games, they're tough, man. And that is tough. It is not easy officiating U12 or U11 or U10. It's like, this wasn't even like a high skill leveled or high ability leveled U12 that I was doing. Okay. Girls matches. And not that girls can't be high skill, but these specific girls were not really high skill level girls. Okay. We're not talking, I don't know if they do whatever, but these were not the best 12-year-old girls I've ever seen. And I got to tell you, this was tough. And it's not tough in that you're running a lot, right? I'm not covering 10 miles in a match, but it's like bing, ball bounce, boom. You have no idea where the ball's going to go. Girls are clumsy. They're falling over the ball. Little bit of push. Someone's falling over. Someone's 100 pounds. Someone's 50 pounds. Yeah, it's very difficult to officiate. What's a foul? What's not a foul? And the parents, my gosh, they're right on top of the pitch, it feels like. So the field is so much smaller. And they are so emotionally involved in every single moment of every single match. Every dribble where it looks like there might be a goal scored. And every single shot that's taken or save or whatever. It is just someone goes down. There's noise. Someone is saying something about something. It is just very intense. And I think about, okay, I'm a 51-year-old man and I've got 11 years of experience and I'm feeling the pressure. I can't imagine what a new young referee is going to be feeling. Now, mind you, my last U12 game, again, everything perfectly good, no issues, but I was leaving at 1 p.m. So I was there from, again, 7:15 in the morning. I walk on the field. I'm leaving at like I was like 1:30 at that point, exhausted. And one of the kids who was with me on this match, and I say kids, he's a college student, kid's 20 years old. Okay. He didn't have the right shorts on. He had like black shorts with yellow stripes. He wasn't wearing the proper socks. He didn't have his badge on. And I'm like, where's your badge? And he's, oh yeah, I think I lost it yesterday. And I'm like, really? And he's like, yeah, man, I don't know what I did with it. I'm like, all right, where's your shorts? Oh, he's like, aren't these good? I'm like, no, they're not. Like, where are your socks? He's like, oh yeah, these are what I got. He had black socks, but they weren't the right size. I'm like, oh my gosh. And when I was leaving, that kid was about to kick off a final. That's right. So the top two teams and two like divisions in this age group, whatnot, were playing. He was going to be officiating. He was the center referee. I'm like, oh my gosh. Just the look of it. I hadn't seen him ref, but I'm going to tell you, I knew it was going to be a really rough outing. I just feel, again, there's so many times where we're taking people who are not qualified and don't have the experience level to be in those intense environments. And yes, should younger people be on those games? Yeah, but the right people who have the right experience, because those parents are going to get upset. The coach is going to get upset. The kids are going to be upset. It's just not going to be good. Again, I didn't watch his match. He could have been the greatest referee ever, but you and I both know when someone shows up looking like that, they ain't going to be the best referee ever. So I just want to say that. If there were like 2 or 3 other kids who didn't have the right socks, I'm like, what are you guys doing? I was like, you earn a couple $100 today. Go buy socks, please. Go buy socks. Hey, buy them from the Wrestling You Love 2 store. By the way, that would be great. Just as a reminder before we get into the podcast, I've got medium, large, extra large of the USSF 2-stripe grip socks. You can get them. I'm literally, as I fly out to California right now, I'm going to put together the listing on my page for the Nasoa all black grip socks too. So if you do college games, check it out on a couple days. I'll get it up there. You'll love them. All right, guys, real quick. I'm going in the mailbag and then I got to run to my flight out to California. So I love getting these messages. I'm sorry I don't read them on the podcast very much anymore. I'm always seem to be running, but here's a great one. It says, Dave, thank you for the quick response. I also want to thank you for all you do for the reffing community. You are a part of the reason I am a ref. My son, who is 20 now, started reffing as a 14-year-old. He began with reffing rec games, then got his license and has been progressing ever since. Reffing has been his primary source of income, and he has paid for 2 international trips along with all of his spending money. He recently worked his way in some higher level assigners and goes for his regional fitness test next week. He has already been assigned a handful of NCAA games near his college this fall. When my 16-year-old daughter turned 14, she was hesitant to begin reffing. I had been listening to your podcast and was reffing curious, so I offered to get licensed with her. Love that! I have been reffing for 2 years. It is amazing to ref and learn from my son. ref and support my daughter to be confident in the difficult scenarios reffing can bring on. Keep doing what you do. You are making a difference in our community. Ben. Dude, I'm going to start crying right now. Ben, love you. And I'm so happy for you and your family on so many different levels. Best of luck to you guys. And I love hearing that. Again, a family that refs together stays together. Love this. All right. Okay, we got another one here. Let's see. I've read that. Hang on one second. Okay, this is another one. Here we go. From Will Grannon. Gerson, I have been thinking about sending this to you since last fall. This came from my son, a 20-year-old student who's been working the sectional round of the Indiana High School AA tournament, who made a favorable impression with the coach. He's currently in the middle of upgrading to regional. He was assessed last Saturday on a Latino League game with no less than 5 key match incidents, all of which the referee coach told him that she agreed with. We will see what the final outcome is. I know you've spoken extensively about how meaningful it is to participate in this avocation with your children. He has honestly become more capable referee than me. I have strong memories of Gus's first games and times we went to tournaments with my friends. I believe we were transmitting values while we were sharing a craft. Way back in the early 90s, when I was the age he is today, there simply weren't the opportunities for learning and mentorship that exist today. First of all, the landscape of games has widened. There are more games and more challenging games to keep referees engaged and growing. Second, the availability of learning resources. We can get hits from around the world. We can see the top practitioners' work, and all of it is shared. Anyway, I know how you like to hear good news. From Will Grannon. Thank you, Will, for your message. I love hearing it. All right, guys, no more from me. Enjoy your day. Enjoy the podcast. And I hope your next game is red card free.
Hey guys, it's Coach Jay. And today I have David Gerson from Wrestling Love 2. I've been following his Instagram page, and you've heard me mention that I coached for 15 years. And as I phrase it, now I joined the dark side and I ref. So what got you into reffing, and at what age level did you start doing it?
It's a great question. I think I've always been a bit of an outcast in wanting to take responsibility. Even when I was a young kid, I would be running for positions of leadership in elementary school and middle school. My high school yearbook quote is, "It's better to stand alone for the right reasons than be together for the wrong." And that's truth. Like, that is literally what my high school yearbook quote. And I've always just kind of been a person who's like, hey, I'll take responsibility. No one will step up, I'll step up. And so I started my referee journey actually in college. I was a rugby player in college. And in my senior year, I was just starting to get a little burned out. And instead of playing the scrimmage, you would have scrimmage on Wednesday, match day Saturday. I would just step up to volunteer to ref the match, because I was just kind of getting a lot of injuries, and it was just an easy way to stay, in the game, be able to play on Saturday, but, still add value to the team. And so I got certified as a ref in college, did a little men's league, afterwards some reffing too. So that's how I started. And then about 15 years later, when I had my own kids and my son wanted to be a referee, I was like, man, if you're going to ref, I'll ref with you. I'd love to do it. And so it's been, as a certified soccer referee, 12 years. I actually did it for a couple of years in the Netherlands when we were living abroad, and my son was playing over there. But certified here in the U.S., coming up 11, almost 12 years.
So you went USSF to start. So
that's right.
I just do high school. So I've never done USSF. My kids played U8, U10, U13 through a local rec league that didn't even have official refs. They just had the next age group up. A kid got a white T-shirt, and here you go. So I actually made, but not necessarily forced. I had my kids ref, and then I bought them the NYSOA jerseys because that's what our reffing board used. And I figured if I have to buy them a jersey, might as well have them match mine. So when they did the U13 games, because it was the full field, I'd do them with them. Because I figured the best way to respect a ref is to be one.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the prerequisite for every high school coach should you need to ref for 2 seasons.
I think that would be wonderful, especially for high school. I think high school in particular is so challenging. And listen, I love reffing high school. It is my favorite time of the year is when high school season is going and I'm able to officiate. I just get more opportunities too. Again, it's not just on a Saturday or Sunday. It could be a game on Monday. It could be a game Thursday, whatever it is. And there's usually 2 games back to back. It's a lot of fun. I love the age group, but the coaches in particular for high school, many of them, almost every head coach is a working teacher. They may not have ever coached a club team. They may have never gotten a coaching license, like actually been taught how to coach. And so, I don't want to make a, too broad of a generalization, but many people, they coach if they haven't been properly trained based on what they see on TV or what they think a coach is actually supposed to do, which is a lot of yelling random things at the players. And when, a referee makes a decision or doesn't make a decision, they think yelling at a referee is helpful, which it's not. It doesn't help the kids, doesn't help them, it doesn't help the spectators, doesn't help anyone. But they're doing what they think is a good thing. I think if they had some time on the field as an official and saw it from an official's perspective and someone who's trying to be unbiased, and trying to make objective calls as opposed to only making loud statements, in defense of their team or, in favor of their team, they would develop a whole new appreciation for the officials who come out and work those matches.
So you said you played rugby. Did you ever play soccer growing up?
Yeah, I played soccer growing up. I mean, soccer's changed dramatically now. I mean, when I played, it was still pretty much, recreational was like all of the leagues. I didn't even know of any like academy leagues in our area. But yeah, no, I played recreationally growing up from when I was, little kid, U6 probably to, U13, U14. And then I started doing, other things in high school. I started running track. I started playing golf. I had a number of like sports I played. I mean, that was the fun thing. Like as a kid growing up in New York City, it's where I live, everyone played every sport. Like you'd go after school, you'd go shoot hoops, you'd go play handball, which is a different thing than Olympic handball. I mean, everyone was active all the time.
Racquetball with your handball.
Yeah, totally. But like, we were all active, but it wasn't, I knew very few kids or friends that had like actually academy sports where they had the type of training and, involvement, investment, and commitment that we do today. When I was a kid, sports was still very much recreational for the most part. And now it seems like almost every sport has been professionalized with academies and very structured, and people have to select a very specific thing. So, yeah, I love soccer as a kid. I don't think I stopped because I didn't love the game. It just, there were so many other things going on. We were playing so many different sports.
Right. Now, do you see a difference in the players, and not necessarily the skill level, but attitude and cleanliness of the match and the parents' reaction to it between a travel or premier U18 and a high school? Because that'd be basically the same age group. Is it a different match?
Well, there's many different levels now, right? So there is MLS next. So I'm having the opportunity, I think 2 weekends from now, not next week, next, I'm refereeing Charlotte FC, which is an MLS academy versus Stuttgart, an international team coming from Germany. I can promise you that that game at U16 is going to look dramatically different from a U16 quote unquote academy game like an ECNL, RL, or EDP or whatever it is, and a U16 recreational game. Those are such completely different worlds in terms of speed and technical capabilities and, also expectations as a referee and what, and what it's like working those games. They're so dramatically different. I just think there's such a much broader spectrum now of skill levels and abilities from the very, very, very top to, not. And there's nothing wrong with that. Like I get a lot of joy out of officiating what I would call lower technical skill level matches and providing them a good experience. Like I think not tomorrow, but the next Tuesday, I am officiating middle school. Middle school is by far and I'm not trying to be offense or get anyone angry, but it's some of the lowest quality, soccer you could ever watch or officiate ever. And that's not a bad thing. It's supposed to be a opportunity for kids to participate in a sport where they're actually competing against other schools and they're spectators. And it's like a fun environment, and it should be a fun environment. And so you have this whole range of kids who have never played soccer before, and you got a couple kids who play academy, whatnot, and they're all out in the field together, and they should be having a good time. And I love being an official for those matches as much as I like being an official for that international, MLS next match too. It's just it's a different level of skills and abilities needed. It's a very different level of skills and abilities on the pitch, but they're all important, in our community.
That middle school game's an actual middle school game through like the NFHS sanctioned stuff. So it's the high school
Well,
with the middle school.
it's similar. So the same assigner who assigns us for high school also does our middle school games. It's not. It's the same rule book, I think. That they follow for the
That's
most
the same
part.
thing.
Yeah.
In New York, do boys and girls for high school all play in the fall?
Yeah.
Yeah, because some states you start going down
no,
south.
Actually, no. We actually in Georgia, our high school is in spring. The middle school season is in fall.
Oh, all right, because I know my mother lived in Virginia, and when she would joke about having me move down there, and I said you can't because you have soccer is split, and then I'd have to pick between soccer and baseball because I also coached high school baseball, but they'll do like
That's cool.
boys in the fall and girls in the spring type of thing.
Yeah.
So here in Connecticut, all the high schools and middle schools are all in the fall, and same thing. Our assigner does varsity level and all sub varsity, including and JV, freshman, and middle school. So we all have to pick up the middle school games, and like you said, they're some of the most fun games. And I have done some middle school games that they're better than some of the lower level high school games where you have the skill level. I did a prep school game a few years back where it was probably the worst technically played match I've ever seen in my life, but probably never saw 22 kids on a field have more fun. And sometimes you can get two evenly less skilled teams and have a better match than if you get an A team and a C team that are better. It's so uneven. You rather have that lower match that's at least even.
Yeah, I mean those lower matches, and let's just call what it is. Like again, I'm not trying to be disparaging, right? For those kids
experience.
Who absolutely, they're coming out, they're getting the opportunity to play a sport they may not have played before. They're on a team, so they're getting to travel to games together as a team. They get team spirit. They get something to put on their resume for colleges and stuff. They're doing physical activity and exercise, which we know how beneficial that is for kids and especially teenagers who are dealing with a lot of emotions and a lot of hormones and things of nature. It's a wonderful, positive experience. Even if there are going to be some games where they get blown out, every now and then you get a game where you've got another team who also has a similar situation. And for me, here in Atlanta, generally speaking, it's very low socioeconomic areas, urban areas that they don't normally play soccer, especially at a high school level. Soccer, unfortunately, has become really expensive in our country. And I actually just interviewed some kids on my podcast last week, from the South Side, here in Atlanta, two of them South Side here in Atlanta. And they were telling me that in their communities that, you play soccer as a little kid, but once you become a teenager, it's too expensive. So then you play American football or basketball, which is sad. It's a sad state of affairs. High school soccer, gives, or even middle school soccer, gives these kids a low cost way of being able to participate in the beautiful game. And that is really what it's all about, is being able to participate, to have fun, to experience this. And yes, it might be, quote, low level in terms of technical ability, but it could be really beneficial in terms of the overall experience they get to have and all the benefits and joy that comes out of it. And I like being an official for those matches as much as it is for a highly competitive match too.
And that's one thing I can say about the youth program that my kids went through. It was just, I'm in Waterbury, Connecticut, so one of the bigger cities in Connecticut. So they have all the different areas, the Town Plot area, the Overlook. They all have their own little sports association. So my kids played for East Mountain. And I had actually brought my son, and my older son was his starting keeper in high school. Unfortunately, he played on one of the less skilled teams. Had he been on one of the better teams, he probably would have went further with it. He did play D3, got a little playing time in D3. I took him to one of the local travel teams that had better, and I'm thinking, all right, it's literally $50 for him to play in East Mountain, or $500 from the play, and they're not going to, because he was a keeper, I was a keeper.
$500 would be a drop in the bucket for an academy
he's
team.
21 now. This is when he was 10, so we're still going back 10 years ago.
Yeah.
But still, I mean, from 50 to 500's a big jump. I know my nephew played travel where they were playing paying $2,000 a season, and there were 3 seasons in the year type of deal. So
Yeah.
that's the big argument we've seen. I mean, you watched the World Cup, you were there. Between Landon Donovan and Alexi Lalas, and how some say we need to make it more affordable, and some are saying no, we need to get the money and the backing and do it. It's like, so that's going to be an argument we have in this country. Now, going for you, bouncing back and forth, do you do high school and USSF in the same time frame?
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. No, I've got, yeah. I mean, listen, there's all sorts of challenges of different leagues, even within the same league, different age groups. You could have different substitution rules. You could have different processes for recording scores. There's lots of different stuff. So
that's the preps are like that, where boys have to leave for the yellow, or don't leave for the yellow card, but the girls have to, or something like that. How do you handle the parents that everyone knows the quote unquote FIFA rules? And because that's what they watch on TV.
Everyone is a really big statement, like as an adjective. Everyone,
yeah, no,
like,
that's
I don't know about
what
everyone.
I'm saying. And knows the rules is a big statement.
Yes.
So then you have these kids that play travel, and they play travel for 2 seasons throughout. They play in the winter season, the summer season, spring season. Then they come to high school, and like the handball rule, for example, in high school, if you react to protect your face, chest, or groin, it's not a handball. Where in USSF it would be. So when they're yelling and how do you deal with coaches that don't realize that that's not a handball in the high school rule? And
well, I mean, I want to, I'd question that. I mean, again, the laws within USSF or IFAB laws these days on handball, pretty much 9 out of 10 times it hits someone's hand, you could make an argument that it's not a handball in USSF, because, what's the definition of unnaturally bigger? And then is it justifiable by the body movement at that time? Again, if a ball's being blasted directly at me and I put my hands in front of my face or in front of my chest, I'm not making my body unnaturally bigger. It's a reactionary thing. And so I wouldn't have that as a handball offense. And so I think there's a good amount of overlap, especially as it relates to handball. Now, again, there's a much higher bar for what a handball offense is in high school. But I would tell you the level of knowledge in high school for coaches, for spectators, I think is a lot lower, as well. They think every touch of the hand should be a handball offense. And I think just as a referee, I would just encourage referees to really, really communicate with your body language, communicate with your voice, what it is that you're seeing. For me personally, every time, there's a touch of the ball to the hand, I'm constantly like, no, arms close to the body, natural position, whatever it might be, didn't make their body unnaturally bigger. I'm really giving a lot of visual clues, with my body language that I've seen it. Okay. I'm not ignoring the fact that it hits someone's hand or arm. I've seen it. And I'm vocalizing why it is not a handball offense. And I do that for a number of reasons. I do that for the players, right? This is really important for them. I do that for the coach. Okay. I'm not speaking directly, like looking at the coach saying it or the spectator saying that, but I'm doing it in a loud enough voice with body language so that everyone understands the call that I'm making. I was actually yesterday, I had 2 ECNL U17 matches. First game, I was the assistant referee. Second game, I was the center. And for the first game, I'm on the parents' sideline, and you just hear the parents. Like the referee on this match actually did a pretty good job. Like I thought he was a solid guy. I think he's like 20 years old. Good movement. Good energy out there. Decent positioning. But there were a number of handball decisions to be made. And again, instead of vocalizing why it's not a handball, he just chooses to, play on, ignore it, not make any motion, no verbiage, no nothing. And so what you get from the parents is like, how did he not call that a foul? Did he not see that? Are you serious? Why aren't they calling that? All this kind of stuff. And I feel like the majority of chatter, it begins as, atmosphere and chatter and like dissent, the beginning of those type of stuff occurs primarily because people just don't understand the call. They think that the referee is just not enforcing the laws of the game or doesn't know the laws of the game, when they very well may, but they're just not communicating. And I think at a grassroots level, whether it's a high school game, a middle school game, U12, U17, it doesn't matter. The more that you communicate as a referee, the better chance you're going to have of being able to manage the environment of the match.
Yeah, I'm the same way where I'll talk to the players. Like I might not say it loud enough, especially in the 2-man system, because when I've done 3-man, I tend to be the AR, and they'll put me on either side. I can handle the crowd, I can handle the coaches. But when we're in that 2-man system and we're both on the field, I'll be communicating with the players when there's situations like nothing there. I mean, keep going, play on, and well, play on only if the foul, but I'll always communicate and letting them know what I'm seeing, what I'm not seeing. And like you said, that's a big deal to make sure that, and to then be consistent. And that's the tough thing where even going into like calling the fouls and cards and stuff, a foul in the second minute is a foul in the 88th minute. But then you can run yourself into trouble if you bang someone with a yellow card 90 seconds into the match. Now, theoretically, you're going to have 17 cards if you did it that quick. It's like, how do you manage the tougher matches that are going to be more physical?
Yeah, I think, that's not easy. And I'll tell you, that's something that every referee at every level of the game has to deal with. Whether you're a junior referee and you're just doing your first matches, or you're a professional referee. I mean, it's something that they constantly talk about. That first yellow card, it's not that one can't happen in the second minute of the match. It certainly can, but it just needs to be something that everyone on the pitch would agree is a yellow card, because you've set the bar for the match. Right. Now, I've had it 2 minutes into the game. I've had, a breakaway going down the wing and someone sliding in, from behind from a challenge, whatnot. And it wasn't, they didn't get like studs in the calf, but it's a reckless challenge. And if it's not reckless challenge, it's it's stopping a promising attack. And you show a card. And I've had coaches like, oh my gosh, it's like the first one. I'm like, dude, I can't manage through this. Like, this is so clear for everyone here. I have to show a card for this. Now, if it was a harder challenge, maybe someone's just coming in with a little bit too much force on a charge through the back or something nature, I could manage that. I could be like, hey, yo, take it down one notch, try and come in from the side, be a little bit more, conscious of your, opponent, whatnot, and your care coming in. I can manage through that. I think everyone gets that. That's okay. Later in the match, in the 88th minute, after this player has had 5 fouls, or they've fouled the same guy in the opposition like 6 or 7 times, I have to show a card, because I've got to keep the game under control. But yeah, so it's one of these things. It's not the time of the match that's so important, because that could be a factor. It's like, is this something that's clear and obvious to everyone is a yellow card and I can't manage through it at the time? Or is it something that, maybe a good word here, take the player to the side, hey man, be a little more sensitive about what's going on out there and your body and your movement, your pace and speed and force. I could possibly have a conversation and people would be okay with that. But it's tough. But that's the type of thing that, it's as much as, being an official is knowing the laws of the game. I would say 90% of being a great official is everything outside of the laws of the game and how you manage that game.
Well, that was one discussion we had with our former rules interpreter, again, for high school, where you have the correct call by the book, and then you have the right call for the match. So like during COVID, we had no ball boys. So the balls, you're on a tracked field with the fence another 20 yards beyond the track, and the ball bounced, and I'm the lead official on that touch line, and the ball bounces and it's going out for the other team, and the kid slaps it down with his hand, runs back on the field, and goes, that was close. I mean, that could have been a handball. Goes, yeah, I thought you were calling. No, we all knew it was going out. You just didn't want him to have to run third. So it's like, you're going to have people yelling handball, handball. It's like, come on, coach. It was going out. He knew what he did. He ran on the field. He didn't expect to get the ball back. He's helping your team out, getting the ball quicker. It's like, sometimes you have to, like you said, manage the level, manage the situation.
Yeah. Well, I mean, in USSF, I mean, it's very clear in Law 1, it talks about managing the laws of the game, but also in the spirit of the game. And then that can be a very difficult thing for people who are not referees to appreciate. They want everything by the book. This is not a sport that is easy to do like that. I mean, there's a lot of gray area. And so you have to manage, what's best for the laws, but also what's best for the game. And that's just part of feeling, the environment and feeling where you are and where you are on the field as well, and what's going on, and what the score is, like all that kind of stuff. It's being a part of the game. And that's a big part of being a referee, is being sensitive to that. Again, that's another reason why you have someone who could be a successful referee and also someone who could really struggle as a referee. If someone is ambivalent, and not engaged and not giving, that energy and effort and passion, and doesn't seem to be really sensitive to what's actually happening in that match, yeah, that person's going to have a really hard time getting their calls respected, and they're going to have a hard time developing rapport. It's just going to be a really difficult day at the pitch.
Well, you mentioned putting the energy in. I'm gonna say I'm a liked official, and are any officials liked? But I was known, especially in Waterbury, between the Tech League, the NVL. I coached for 15 years. So all the coaches, the ones that are still around, now they might be the AD. They knew me as a coach. Now I'm on the other side of the lines. I'm an official. So I've had a good rapport with them. I mean, there's some officials that I'm on the field with side by side now that I like them better when I was a coach than working with them. But you put a post up the other day about, even when you're doing that lower level, lower age group, the UH, the U10s, a middle school match, that's their match. You need to give them the same enthusiasm that you're giving a high school final in November. And that's one thing that I enjoy in the middle school games, when it's one man. Any middle school games and girls JV, we get one man because our reffing board, we don't have enough to do it. So it's a long run, and I hope I move as well as them, but I'd say our average age on our reffing board is like 67. So a lot of times it's the older guys that get that JV game, and I'll hear parents say, geez, you're the first official that ran. They won't usually just stay in the circle, and that's what they do. They just watch the play from the circle, which I mean, I want to say to the parent, I hope when you're pushing 70, you're still out there doing something. But I do get that pat on the back for running. And it's one of those days where it's like, I have fun doing it. I mean, I give the coaches the little talk that, listen, I'm not going to get every offsides, especially on a breakaway where I'm on the goal line, and now I got to sprint down to the other side, and they understand. But it's like, given, and we have that talk all the time, whether you're doing that top tier prep school or the bottom middle schools, you got to give them the same effort.
Yeah, I think it's, I don't have the right words for this yet. I've been toying with something in my head, but I don't have it all figured out. But I do believe that a foundation for any relationship is, if you give respect, you're more likely to get respect. Now, it's not a guarantee. You can be the greatest person in the world, trustworthy, do everything you possibly can, and give as much respect to someone as possible. It's still up to that other person to give you respect in return, right? They have to do that. Because I've been a referee now for a long time, and I show up to the pitch, and I'm positive and professional and friendly. And every now and then I'll get a coach who is just, for lack of a better phrase, a douche, like just like a rude, angry dude. Usually a dude. It's not usually a woman. And, I don't know what's going on in the world. I don't know what's happening for them personally, maybe professionally. They're, about to lose their job or something in nature. I don't know. But, the foundation for a relationship is like respect. That's the foundation. And for the game, I think referees need to be thinking about that as it relates to the game. You need to give respect to the game. Okay. That means professional attire. That means showing up in plenty of time. That means, check-ins and all of that type of stuff, that you're running through the motions and you're treating it like a professional as much as you possibly can. When you're getting onto the pitch, giving respect to the game means that you're moving to be in the right position to make a credible call. Okay. That is respect for the game. Now, I would say if you're 70 plus years old and it's a full high school field, you might not be able to be a referee for those matches anymore. I'm sorry. If you cannot move out of the center circle, that's not respect for the game. That's actually disrespect, to be quite honest, because there's no way in the world you can make have visibility, have the ability to have visibility and proximity to have credibility on a call on a full high school field, which is 120 yards long. There's no way. And so I do think that's an issue. But let me tell you, there's a game out there for that person. A U8 game or a U10 game where you need someone veteran experience. You don't have to move that much, maybe 15 yards either direction. There's a game for them. It just might not be a 120-yard field. Okay, as a single.
This is under the high school, middle school assigning. So
yeah,
that's
I hear that.
I don't know how many of these do. I know we have a lot of guys now that do USSF as well.
I think listen, and I work with some 70-year-old guys who are fit, really fit and can move, and they give respect to the game. You could see them hustling out there. But if you get to the point as a referee where you can't do that anymore, okay, you can't even get into a jog, and you are just standing in the center circle, I think it's disrespect. I think it is disrespectful to the game, to the competitors. At some point, you have to be honest with yourself. I mean, I know for me, listen, I did 4 games yesterday, and when I finished, there was no more running that I really could have done. I should not have done 4 games. I mean, I came home, I told my wife.
Center for all 4?
I was center for 3 of the 4. Now, listen, the last 2 were easy games for me, but it was 90 degrees, high humidity, full sun in Georgia. I mean, it's crazy, crazy hot and humid. It was my first 4 games of the season, so I'm not in like game shape. I shouldn't have taken on that many assignments. I should have gone back and oh, sorry, I can only do 3. I can't do 4. 3 is usually my max.
And even as an AR, I've done 3.5, 4 miles as an AR. So it's not like you do any less running on the sidelines.
Yeah, I mean, it's not good because again, the heat. It just, even if you're not running a lot in a U12 match, it's still heat. And you're not thinking as clear as you should be. You're not giving the best experience. But I just say that. You've got to, at a U10 match or a U8 match, it doesn't matter. It might feel like a lower level game to you, but it's everything to them. Yeah. Okay. It's everything to those kids. It's everything to those parents. It's everything to those coaches. It is the most important, least important thing in their world. Right. So again, it's the most important, least important thing. I mean, yes, it's not life and death, it's not curing cancer. But in that 1 hour of time, it is the most important thing. It's the world stops and they are focused on, those kids and what's happening and who's winning and who's losing and who's getting hurt. And you as a referee need to be sensitive to that. And you need to be, giving respect to the game and staying focused on that game, giving the best possible experience you can, out there, keeping kids safe, trying to keep it fair, trying to keep it fun. It's very important. And if you do that, you will have a better experience as a referee. Those kids will have a better experience as kids. The parents, the coaches will have a better experience too. But it starts with respect.
Yeah. I've actually used that one. If I see a captain and run his mouth and persistent fouls, hey, number 3, I said, see this armband on your arm? It means you respect the game. So we're going to play the remainder of it with that in mind. And I'll usually get like that deer in the headlights look. And it's like, and they'll just walk off. So, and even talking to the players, I mean, the respect is a big thing.
Oh,
and my father was career military. So the yes, sir, no, sir, please, and thank you was kind of forced on me at a young age. So yeah, respect is a big thing.
Yeah, I mean, I do it in my check-ins. I mean, I know we don't have the same check-ins for high school, but for USSF, I'm always like, as I check people in, I just tell them, it's like, hey, this same calm, respectful voice I'm using with you right now is the same one you're going to hear from me on the pitch. If you have a question, please ask. Wait for a stoppage of play. But if you ask in a calm, respectful manner, I'll tell you exactly what I see. I mean, it may not be the answer you want. We're not going to have an argument about it, but please, let's have a conversation. I'd love to talk to you about it as to what I saw. If I missed something, I'll tell you I thought I missed something. But that's how I talk to them.
That's like even with the high school rule now, where only the captain's supposed to talk to you and the coaches and the assistant coaches. It's like if an assistant coach comes up and says, "Hey, what did you see on that last call?" Politely, "Oh, I saw this. All right, thanks," and walks away. It's like,
yeah, I think it's only the captain at halftime. Right. Yeah. Or a post game. Anyone can talk, anytime. And specifically that halftime thing, they've created that rule. But yeah, no, I'm happy to talk to anyone. I mean, for me, the captains in particular, if I've got a captain losing their cool, again, that's a great time to really slow things down, stop the clock, take a walk with them. That's one thing I've learned from like Ismail Elfath when I had him on my podcast is he talked about like, don't just like walk up, get face to face with them because emotions are still high. They're huffing and puffing. They're in that like red, lizard brain or whatever, try and take a little walk with them. Give them a couple seconds to get some deep breaths in, get some oxygen to the brain, to get some perspective. And then you can have a conversation with them about, hey, you are a captain for a reason. You're a leader of your team. Okay. Please act like it. Again, it's like, it's like whatever it might be, but I need them to recognize what's going on. Everyone's watching them how to act. Please, act like a captain today. And so it's one of those things. I mean, again, you got to give them an opportunity to vocalize. It's like, hey, what's going on? What's happening, and give them an opportunity to get whatever it is that's on their chest off their chest and to release that, because that's important. They need to feel heard. So I want to give them to let them know that I hear you. Okay. Here's what I saw on the play. This is the call that I made because of based on what I saw, and I didn't see what you saw, or I had a different perspective on it. I'm sorry, we don't see eye to eye on that, but I've made the call and we need to move forward. I need you to, as a leader, accept the call and move forward, whatever it might be. So I don't know, but you have to give respect to them. I would never want to humiliate someone. I think that's one thing that I see a lot of referees who get themselves in trouble is they create an adversarial relationship between a captain or a coach or anything. And that's just, the quickest way to lose credibility.
I've worked with a couple of those too. And everyone knows, I mean, like I said, the high school board, we have 120 or so officials. And because of the arbiter and your travel restrictions, you tend to work with the same dozen guys or so. And everyone knows who the hotheads are. It's like you're going in to do, a Noggy Watertown match, which is like the top tier NVL. And contending for state championships, and it's like, oh, you got this guy and this guy on, and it's like, okay, what's the over under on cards, and not necessarily for the way that they play it, but more the way this guy. You just know who has the reputation of butting heads, and it's not always the coach's fault.
Yeah, no, I don't know. I feel like my high school association got a pretty good group of people out there. Are there some people who can lose their cool, more than others? Yes, certainly. For the most part, I'm pretty fortunate. The people that I work with, and it's funny, right? Like in the high school association, in your area, and I've got like a 50-mile travel radius. I'm more flexible than other people, so I'll go a long way for a game, just to kind of mix it up. But in my local, 25-mile area, 30-mile area around my house, and the 10 high schools that are most likely to ref with, most of the guys, and I say guys because there's not many women. we have a few women who work in the high school ranks, but most of the guys, everyone's pretty chill. It's I think we all understand our role.
Most of ours are
facilitators.
Too. The couple of the outliers.
Yeah, there can be. Mostly, though, everyone's been pretty cool, pretty chill.
Zoom saying I got 2 more minutes because I have the free one, but I definitely appreciate you coming on. Like I said, I teased that I coached for the 15 years, enjoying the dark side, but I'm going into my 10th season, so I must be enjoying it if I'm still doing it. The one thing I got to say that I noticed after, and I'll be honest, I enjoy the coaching. And me and my fiance, we own an archery range, and I coach kids through the national level to compete with that. So I'm still coaching at some level. My heart, my passion's in coaching, but I definitely enjoy the officiating. I saw 29 fouls against my team as a coach every match. Now I blow the whistle 5 times and 3 of them are offsides. They're played a lot cleaner than the average eyes see.
Well, we again, it's biased, right? When we are a coach or a spectator, or a player, you see every single foul, from one particular perspective. Your team never does anything wrong, and the foul should always be in your favor, or whatever it might be. It's the way the human mind, works. So I appreciate that, and I understand that.
It was amazing to see it firsthand like that, to get on the other side of the line and go, wow, this is different. So
Yeah.
again, I appreciate your time. Thanks for coming on. Have a good one.
Absolutely, man. Thank you for having me. You take care.
Thanks.